Welcome, I'm Stephen Burns from Chromolution.com, and I'm going to share you more about some of the functionality of Artrage. What I'd like you to do is to keep in mind that I'm using the Wacom tablet, which is currently the Intuos 4, to apply all of my applications in Artrage. Okay, so here we are back in Artrage, and what I would like to do is to share with you some of the functionalities of the tools and a little bit more functionality of the interface. Now, one functionality of the interface I'd like to bring to your attention is that you can quickly cascade everything down to icons by hitting the tab key. And if I hit the tab key again, it's a toggle. And all it's doing is dropping everything to their button view or to these icon views. Now, if I want everything to go out of the way, now normally in Photoshop we'll use the tab key to do that. Okay. I'm going to use a right click. That makes everything go away. That means I can draw and paint on my interface just like I'm doing now without anything being there. If I hit right click again, it comes back. As I draw and paint, let's go ahead and change the color. I'm going to drag it, get a different color, more like an orange. And as I drag over, you'll notice that my tools disappear. Anything in front of me disappears. Now that's a functionality that I like, because instead of me having to go and move these things out of the way, they simply move themselves out of the way. And I'll share with you what's happening here too. You notice how the color is blending in, because I'm currently in this oil brush mode, and it's behaving just like an oil brush would. As you lay down paint or this orange paint on top of the blue, it starts to blend it together a little bit. So what's happening is I'm loading more paint on top of the blue here. Okay, and I'm going to share a little bit more about that in just a moment. Just like in Photoshop, Command or Control A is going to select all. I'm selecting my document. If I want to deselect it, just like in Photoshop, Command or Control D deselects it. So I'm going to hit Command or Control A to select it, hit delete on my keyboard to clear it out. Okay, I'm working in layers. Let's go ahead and open up the layers here, and I'm going to delete this top layer because I don't need it. So I'll go ahead and hit delete, and I'm going to have two layers instead. I'm going to add more layers as I need them. So I'm working in the top layer, don't need to keep seeing it. But I'm going to go ahead and take it back down to my button view. Alright, so all tools have an option, correct? Where are they? Right here under settings. Select the settings. Let's put our settings right over here, and let's study this just a little bit. What we have is our pressure, just like you're applying your paintbrush pressure down to your canvas. We have thinners, as if you're going to add thinners to your paint to make it a wash or to break down your paint molecules. And then we have loading, and that has to do with how much paint you're putting on that brush. Okay, we got Insta Dry here, which means the paint's going to dry quickly as you apply it down. We have auto clean, which means it cleans, paint thinner cleans up all the paint off the brush automatically as I place it down. And of course we can use a square head. So let's play with these options here. Alright, so let's select the brush. Look right down here in the bottom left. It says tool size 100%. Simply take your mouse, click and hold on it, drag it left to right, and that's going to resize your brush. So if I go to 100%, I'm looking at 100% of my brush size, and we can see it here. Okay. If I come back over to here and drag back, we're looking at a smaller percentage. Okay. You see that? And of course, I have the loading at 50%. Now let's discover what happens when I adjust this load. I'm going to bring it down about 21%. Let's go ahead and bring up the brush size a little bit bigger. And you see it tapering off here? It's put paint on the brush, and as I move the brush down, it starts to lose paint, and it's picking up the texture of the paper. Alright, I use the Command Alt key to to select my entire document so I can hit delete on my keyboard, make everything go away. It's a quick little way to work when I'm exploring brushes. Let's take loading down a little bit more. Okay, let's go to 14% and see what it's doing. It's starting to lose paint very quickly. Alright, now watch when I press very light on the keyboard, my brush strokes are a little smaller. If I press harder on the keyboard, the brush strokes are a little bit wider. Just like what would happen if you're working with a tapered brush, where you press light, you get the tip of the brush, you press really heavy, you get in the back of the brush, and the same functionality here. Alright, let's go ahead and hit delete and make all this go away. How about if we leave load right about 26%? I'm going to bring it down so we can see what's happening. Let's bring it back a little bit more so we can use the document. Let's go 22%, and let's go across. Alright, let's bring it across, and notice how my brush rotates. See how the brush is moving in the direction as I rotate my Wacom pen. Alright, it's tapering off right about here. Let's add some thinner. Alright, let's add a little more thinner and watch what happens. See, what's happening is the thinner is mixing with the paint and extending the paint a little bit further. Okay, but it's coming off as a wash, so it's extending the paint a little bit further than I did here. Alright, let's add a little more thinner. Okay, let's add a lot of thinner. Let's go like close to 70% and look at it now. Okay, now it's really breaking up the paint. Let's go ahead and hit the delete key. It's really breaking up the paint here. Let's add 100% thinner and you get practically nothing. It's nothing as I draw everywhere else, or very little of that color, but as I start to brush over, watch what happens as I brush over the other paints. The paint thinner is pulling up the paint from my canvas and then spreading it out, working just like traditional thinner and paint with a brush would. Alright, pretty nice, isn't it? Okay, so let's go ahead and hit delete key. I can adjust my pressure here. Let's go and take the thinner back down to closer to its default. Let's take the loading back on up again, and I'm back to my, I love these streaks here, which is picking up the texture of the brush. It's wonderful. Now let's go ahead and bring the pressure down close to 18%. Alright, and see what it does. Okay, so we have less pressure, therefore we're using more of the tip of the brush, right? Okay, but we have the Wacom pen, right? So if I press down a little bit and press down harder and release a little bit again, it goes down a little bit smaller. But with the Artrage doesn't take advantage of the Wacom pen and pad as well as Photoshop does, so you're going to have to come up here and adjust these pressures so that it becomes a little more intuitive to you. Okay, it'll feel a lot more intuitive. Now, some of you may have a different the way that you use your pen. Some of you are more heavier handed, some of you are less much lighter handed, and you might want to adjust your Wacom properties for your particular brush stroke. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back, show you how to adjust that with the Wacom properties, and then we're going to continue on with our various tools again.